is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. I'm Keith, and today we're breaking down the wonderful trailer for WandaVision.
Hey all, I'm Doug, and if you enjoy this video and you want to see more, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel.
Oh hey, I'm Dave, and don't forget to ring that bell to be notified of future videos.
Finally, we got some MCU content to dig into. And this trailer opens up with the Platter's 1958 cover of Twilight Time, a haunting song describing a person's longing for the lover they can't be with until the sun's nearly set. The trailer opens in old TV formatting in black and white as a car declaring its passengers to be just married drives into town. We're presented with Wanda and Vision still dressed in their wedding attire in what seems to be their new home.
The pair are every bit your prototypical American sitcom TV couple, with the obvious oddity being that Wanda and Vision aren't a pair of characters plucked out of I Love Lucy, Leave It to Beaver, or Full House. The aspect ratio of the trailer changes with the era.
As Vision remarks what a wholesome couple they are, Wanda explains that wherever it is that they are, it's meant to be their new home. And she expresses her desire that they fit in. The trailer cuts to an interesting moment in which Wanda works a bit of Bewitched-era TV magic and transforms Vision's synthezoid face into that of a man. The Vision, wanting to live something pretty much similar to a human life, he kind of echoes the character's arc in Tom King's The Vision series. But the fact that Wanda's able to make the transformation happen by wiggling her fingers is definitely a particular note because of who pops up next.
We see Kathryn Hahn's character, and she says, "This is going to be a gas." And the closed captioning tells us that she is Agnes. And I won't say this confirms what we have said before about her playing Agatha Harkness, but it comes extremely close. And we'll talk more about this later in the video.
This shot shows Wanda using her powers to pour a bottle of Maison du Mépris wine, which seems very romantic, unless you speak a little French. Mépris is French for contempt, a clear indication that something isn't quite right. More importantly, Maison du means house of, and the label pointedly has an M emblazoned on the neck. House of M is a crossover event in Marvel Comics in which Scarlet Witch went mad with grief after losing her two children she had created with magic from shards of the demon Mephisto. She used her powers to alter the fabric of reality so her children could be returned to her with far greater ramifications. Though she's grieving with a different loss in the MCU, it looks like WandaVision will be loosely based on the House of M.
As Vision and Wanda settle in to have dinner with a pair of their new neighbors, portrayed by Fred Melamed and Deborah Jo Rupp, canned audience laughter that seems to be part of the show's odd reality definitely kind of makes itself known that, and WandaVision makes its first obvious nod to the fact that something's definitely not quite right with the newlyweds. When pressed about their history, neither Wanda nor Vision can actually recall their pasts, which increasingly upsets Mr. Hart to the point of shouting. If Wanda created this reality due to the main villain's influence, is Mr. Hart her subconscious warning her that maybe this isn't real?
Wanda's very shocked stare directly into the camera hints that, on some level, she might be aware what's going on and that she's centered within a reality shaped by television tropes. Her voiceover in the next shot implies that she's not fully aware of what precisely is happening to her and Vision, which tracks as you see the two of them marveling at the black and white world around them becoming colorized a la Pleasantville. Before a series of clips depict with them dancing and cradling their newborn babies, doing something Kathryn Hahn's character finds very funny, and then perhaps getting ready for a Halloween in classic Avengers costumes, the entire sequence creates the effect of rapidly flipping through television channels in search of something good to watch.
But again, all of this is weird, and WandaVision's trailer establishes that at some point, Vision is going to begin questioning things as he, in synthezoid form, that's a tough word, folks, ventures out into their desaturated universe to see that nobody else is moving, as if someone hit the pause button on him.
One of the frozen citizens Vision interacts with is Kathryn Hahn's character, whose identity isn't officially revealed. Marvel's only described her as being sort of a nosy neighbor, which tracks with her early appearances in Wanda and Vision's home. Her being dressed like a witch here and being a constant presence in Wanda's life kind of strongly suggests that she's the MCU's answer to Agatha Harkness, Wanda's magical mentor in Marvel's comics.
The woman reanimates when Vision touches her and appears to use a bit of his own power to jumpstart her. And the first thing she asks, much to his alarm, is whether or not she's dead. She asks because she knows that he's dead. And while Han's witch cackle is a lovely bit of acting, the woman's declaration is the most important bit. WandaVision is clearly pulling from both House of M storyline, in which the Scarlet Witch suffers a mental breakdown and completely rewrites reality to give everyone what they want, and Tom King's Vision series, in which Vision made a go at living the domestic life by moving to Virginia, buying a home, and building a nuclear family from scratch.
Vision-esque as WandaVision appears to be, the series is clearly more focused on what's happening with Wanda. Because the MCU's Scarlet Witch hasn't exactly demonstrated a power set allowing her full-on rewrite reality, there's a chance that the show's going to approach House of M in a slightly different way, suitable for a live-action universe. Han's character, stating that the Vision's dead, implies that she's aware of the larger world, such as the events of Infinity War. It opens up to the possibility that the entire town isn't necessarily a construct of Wanda's mind or even an alternate world, but rather a real place on the MCU's Earth that she's taken over using her psychic abilities and hasn't demonstrated since the Age of Ultron. It's also worth noting that Han's character coming into Wanda's orbit unexpectedly means she's just a regular person who got caught up in the mess. She could very well be a witch seizing an opportunity to cause a little chaos, and Elizabeth Olsen has stated that WandaVision will finally establish how and why Wanda becomes known as the Scarlet Witch.
Now, it's really funny that you actually mentioned that, Dave. That's a good theory, and it really brings to mind something that I recall from the old Justice League animated episodes, where the Justice League end up venturing into an alternate universe, and it's kind of set in this weird sort of 50s era, where the world had actually technically been destroyed, but they didn't realize that. It turns out there was this telepath who was recreating the world. He basically generated all of these, buildings, and he made it look like it wasn't destroyed. And the funny thing was, all of the citizens that were there, they were all actually real. They were all alive. They weren't generated by him. They just basically had to live in his recreation of the world. But anyway, back to our trailer here. We got a quick look at Vision wearing a low-budget version of his classic comic costume, which I think is just hilarious, as a group of neighborhood children run by in what looks to be Halloween, and another shot of Wanda using her powers to straight-up transform pieces of her furniture into more modern versions of themselves. Vision's stroll through the neighborhood very strongly evokes the first issue of Bill Mantlow's Rick Leonardi and Bob Sharon's Vision and the Scarlet Witch, in which the couple moved to Leonia, New Jersey, of all places, just in time to walk through the neighborhood for fall festivities. It's interesting to note that as things change around Wanda, they all take on a very curious television static-y quality, kind of making it unclear whether what she's interacting with is even real or not.
The trailer's final moments, Vision and Wanda sitting happily on their couch, are nice, but the real money shot actually features Teyonah Parris' adult Monica Rambeau. We can see her forcibly flung out of whatever space Wanda's in by Wanda, as evidenced by the swirls of red energy pushing her back, and flies by yet another welcome sign and crashes into the ground. She wakes up surrounded by a group of armed members of the military who's converged on whatever anomaly is at the center of WandaVision, and it's anyone's guess as to whether Monica ends up becoming involved in this accidentally or whether she's working with the military specifically to deal with the situation. Given Monica's powers in the comics, ability to manipulate any form of light energy, I think that S.W.O.R.D. is using her to figure out what is happening inside Wanda's little world, since her powers would allow her to enter virtually unharmed.
As weird and odd as WandaVision appears to be, there's likely plenty more to the series that will play a key role in its plot and the shape and the future of the MCU. People forget that whenever Wanda has episodes like these, they don't exactly happen in a vacuum, and there's always a villain lurking not too far from her when she's most vulnerable. Whether WandaVision ends up sticking to that fact or introduces a proper foe for her to face, like Kathryn Hahn as Agatha Harkness would be working for said main villain, and there was a rumor that Quicksilver of the X-Men universe, Evan Peters, was cast in an unnamed role. Could that be the main villain, Mephisto, played by Evan? I certainly hope so. Mephisto has had his run-ins with Wanda. She magically created her kids from shards of Mephisto, and we do get a quick look at what could be Wiccan and Speed in the trailer, or if it instead decides to focus solely on Wanda and Vision, and is no longer, and is one of the bigger questions still looming.
Similarly, the trailer also doesn't answer exactly when WandaVision will drop, other than soon. I certainly hope this isn't like New Mutants. A year, 2 years, 3 years from now. But rumors swirl about it getting released on November 27th, the Friday after next Thanksgiving. But what do you guys all think? Tell us in the comments down below. And until next time, thanks for watching.